Oi, oi, welcome back. Hope we're all well. How we doing? Thanks again for coming back. A follow-on, my history, my gaming journey, story mode. We know what's coming, boys and girls, don't we, So following on from the last video, well into me PS2. The beauty that was me PS2 started messing about. So after a fateful little love tap and my hand going through it, we took that fateful journey over to Game Station, which was my place of choice to get me gaming items from. And the big lad in there walked me up them steps towards the back of the shop. And as I mentioned in my last video, PS2 was everywhere. Three of the four walls, if you like, it was all PS2. And after explaining to him what had happened, he went, "Well, might have something for you. Walk this way." So we're in this corner. Sort of the wall on that side was Xbox. Now I'd heard the name going about a fair bit, obviously, but I thought it was more of a computer system rather than a games console. You know, I weren't really following the media in terms of what was what. All I knew was every now and again there was a game coming out on the PS2 that I really liked and really fancied, so waited until it was released and then nabbed it. I didn't keep my eye on anything else. Wasn't into retro. As retro as I had back then was still a few leftover PS1 games to play on the PS2 that I couldn't bring myself to get rid of. So this big, huge green box, the original Xbox, was something completely new. And all I got from him, I can't remember his name now, but all I got from him was, "This is like something different. This is how games should be. You know, this is a step forward. This is next gen, if you like, before there was even such a phrase. But this is the business. I've got one." Now they probably all say that to everyone, but he said, "I've got one. It's the best thing ever." He said, "Do yourself a favour, get one. If you don't like it, you can always sell it on, come back to us, trade it, and get another PS2. He said, "But mark my words, I reckon if you're as big a sort of gamer as you say you are, I think you'll be set. You'll be an Xbox fanboy in no time." So a couple of £100 later, bought the console, the standard edition, which I've realised I put way out in the corner of the loft. So, and I've already banged the back of my head trying to get to the other consoles, put them out. So I haven't got my original one out on show, but I've just got the absolute standard edition. Originally, no games with it. It was just the standard box, and I bought a couple of titles to go with it. And the main one, I mean, this again was sold on the idea that this is the best thing ever. Do you like shoot 'em ups? Yep. What's not to like? Do you like exploring games? Yep. What's not to like? This bad boy's got it all. And this is a world away from anything the PS2 could muster up. And that's how it was sold to me. And to be fair, the lighting effects, the atmosphere, the music, everything about it, it was just something crazy different. When I booted that big old bad boy up, I was absolutely over the moon to be playing this. Yes, it was bloody. I mean, again, it's a stealthathon, so you've got to do it the way they want you to do it. You can't just go in guns blazing. I'm sure we've all played the original Splinter Cell, but absolutely brilliant, really, really good, and had me hooked, absolutely hooked. So yeah, it was certainly a moment to remember. The original Xbox was put in place. I kept the PS2 games, stuck them in a couple of shoe boxes. I say a couple, it must have been about half a dozen shoe boxes and another big box. Chucked them in the loft, and I thought I'd do something with them at some stage. Just chucked them by, and started hoovering up Xbox games. Another one early on was Dead or Alive, and wow, the graphics in that. I mean, the nearest I got sort of fighting games was Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat back in the day, and in my opinion, up until about Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PS1, they were starting to just become a bit too much the same. So I gave one-on-one beat 'em ups quite a break, and then along comes this Dead or Alive. Fantastic graphics, very lifelike effects, I might hasten to add. You know what I mean. And it was just absolutely brilliant. And I remember being out one night with Lee and a few girls over in what was it? I think it was Liquid in Ipswich, and it was opposite the cinema, and had a bloody great sort of TV screen, or I remember it being a bloody great TV screen. It was probably just like a 50-inch telly or two, but I remember they had Dead or Alive playing on in the club, and that hadn't really been done since the early days of PS1 with like Wipeout. So to see that, and I'm like, I've got that. It was just amazing. So yeah, it was a really cracking game, and again, the Xbox is where I laid my heart. We love a bit of Xbox. These green boxes, I've got a fair collection now, and in all honesty, it's the only thing that I've got now, my original console, and then I bought one of these to go in the bedroom. So I had two Xboxes, one in the bedroom, one in the front room. So yeah, this holds a good place, because at the time I bought, must have been, when I got my console, I bought 3 or 4 games. I spent a good lot of pound notes, and then found that, well, why not have one in the bedroom as well? I took to it so well. So I got this edition eventually, and it came with the Halo and Midtown Madness. That was a really good game back in the day. So I had that in the bedroom. For me, standout title was Project Gotham Racing. I hadn't experienced the Dreamcast and Street Racing Syndicate, I think it is. But their follow-on title was Project Gotham Racing, and that was brilliant. I mean, you get points for doing sliding out, and your kudos points. Really great games. Absolutely loved them. So yeah, there was so many standout titles. I hadn't really experienced Grand Theft Auto games on the PS2. I've played them on Friends a few times, but eventually that got released on the Xbox, and that was where I really set some hours into Gran Theft Auto 3, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And even now, that's one of my favourite games. I mean, the music in that, the setting, the Miami Vice in the 80s setting, the playability, the music, all them radio stations, really good game. So yeah, so many top titles. I mean, I could be here all day just going from A to Z, pretty much everything. I mean, throughout my original Xbox collecting or playing, I built up, I think it was built up to about 80 odd games for the original Xbox. One standout title was House of the Dead. And I've got a couple of these Mad Catz guns. I had I think it was a 32-inch big back Philips telly, and a couple of these blasting out the old House of the Dead, which was, well, in my mind, pretty much as arcade perfect as it needed to be. Got the old Mad Catz guns on the go, having a blast up. I got this back in the day, a Lotus. It's a funny little wheel. That's your controlling, and got your little buttons on there. It's an official product, a Lotus product. Bloody hard. I mean, I've never been good with steering wheels and pedals and all that on games, but this feels really nice to use. But for me, I just could never master it. You can't beat a nice control pad, and boy was the Xbox controller a brilliant one. That Duke, Christ, you could knock a wall down. You swing that round by the lead, you could knock a wall down. Christ. I mean, I've got little stumpy hands, but the Duke controller, I mean, yeah, going from a PS2 controller to that really made a difference. It was that whole experience. The Xbox was this sort of it was, you know, it was a proper step up. Again, more noticeable mentions. Dark Watch, for me, that was a real standout title. That come a bit later on in the life of the original Xbox, but I know it was on PS2 as well. But this was really good, and I've been waiting. I keep saying I'm going to go back to that and have a blast, but I keep forgetting to get round to it. But yeah, got to be done. As I say, I could sit here all day, talk about Halos. I mean, Halo 1 and 2. Got all of those. They're really good. I had this one early on as well. This is a 2003 release, Grabbed by the Ghoulies. I mean, I love me platformers. Having Jak and Daxter and Ratchet Clanks, and then Crash Bandicoots, and even back to Sonics and stuff. I've always liked me platformers, a decent platformer, and this was a really good game. Really atmospheric. It's done by Rare, so you couldn't go wrong. Really good game, well worth playing. Adding to the collection. Unfortunately, it didn't live up to the hype in terms of, I mean, on the front from the creators of Donkey Kong Country and Banjo-Kazooie, but it wasn't quite on par, really wasn't. But anyway, it was in a green box, and it was new out, and it looked cracking. It was well worth adding. So many more. I mean, we got midnight club games, Sega GT, a couple of games that I really got into. I've always liked my shooters. The Suffering and the Suffering Ties That Bind. Really, I mean, they're deep games in terms of, yes, they're just an explore sort of type game. Shoot everything you can and explore and follow the story. But wow, what stories! Yeah, absolutely brilliant as well. I mean, there's so many. There's so many I could sort of point out. I mean, the list is endless. But then Project Gotham Racing 2, that was a standout one. I mean, I've sunk loads of hours into that. Absolutely love that as well. So I'm kind of at a point now where I added this to the collection, thinking, oh, that'd be a great idea. This is the official Lotus steering wheel and pedal set for the original Xbox, but I'll be honest, I'm useless at them. It's nice to have, but yeah, steering wheels are not for me. I've also got a this was a purchase when I started getting into retro collecting. It's going back a few years, down a booter, and got that. that's a wicked little gun, that is. I mean, that reminded me of things like the Menacer or the Super Scope back in the day for the Mega Drive and the SNES. This is silent scope with the game. I've used it once. It's a bit different, but it feels all a bit too gimmicky for me, I'll be honest. I'd much rather use the controller. Yes, I've got a clear console, the crystal clear console. I've got the clear green limited edition one, all boxed and decent enough condition, all complete. That's the important bit. It's all complete. Got that edition, and then my very first original, and that's the only thing I've got, that original boxed Xbox, from back prior, before it became a thing, collecting retro games. So yeah, I was still well into my cars at the time. So yeah, I mean, a lot of my pals were still living at home with mum and dad, and yeah, I had my own flat and paying the rent and running a car and doing everything else. So I worked a lot, did quite a lot of door work, as well as my day job. So anything to bring in the pound notes, and at the time had quite a steady girlfriend, and as you do, onwards and upwards, working on the doors, and it wasn't quite working out with a girlfriend. She's a lovely girl, and she's gone on to have a lovely family and that, which are, all too pleased for her. But started seeing my beloved back in the day, and yeah, so yeah, good times. And she remembers I had quite a sizable Xbox original game collection then. I mean, it went to about 70, 80 games all told. Really enjoyed them. Love playing through the games. I mean, I always have. And yeah, so some good times. Yeah. In terms of cars, by then we were in a bit of pug power, so Peugeots, and I had, unfortunately, the XR3i pretty much died a death, and was on its last legs. So I'd done a bit of a deal with a pal, Colin, and he had that old beastie off me, and I bought a Peugeot, of all things, a Peugeot 406, after seeing the film Taxi, the French film Taxi, and there's Taxi 1, 2 and 3. They did make some games on it, actually. I think there's one on the Dreamcast and a game on something else. But it was a white 406. The taxi driver used to go out collecting fares, and if someone sort of, get me to the airport quick as you can, and he'd right, okay, press a button, the car would, I mean, hilarious. You've got to go back and watch it. Absolutely funny as hell. I mean, they did a remake, an American remake, with just nowhere near as good, but the French release is absolutely brilliant. And so press a button and the car would lift itself up. It would, all of a sudden, these wide wheels with a squat stance, the spoiler would come out the back, bloody great exhaust, and all of a sudden it was like an F1 race car. And it, and yeah, so in my wisdom, into car modifying and chaffing stuff up, I had a white Peugeot 406 that I'd lowered, put big wheels on, bloody great ironing board spoiler on the back, an exhaust so big I could fit my fist into it. It was 4 inch. It was a 4-inch straight through exhaust all the way at the front. Take the cat out as well. This thing sounded like a bloody tank, an absolute tank. Big sound system in the back that used to rattle everything. Proper chaffed up. But love that car. As I say, sounded like a tank. Well into me motors. But yeah, so if you can, go back and watch Taxis. Taxi 1, 2 and 3. I think it's Luc Besson. Proper funny films. Funny as hell. But yeah, I kind of modelled my car on that once it was done up, and with the racing speed line big wheels on it, big wide wheels, and yeah, they looked funny as hell. But it went really well. I ended up going through, I think it was 3 clutches and 2 gearboxes, driving it round like a bloody full-on race car. But yeah, good times. Got to have a laugh, haven't you? Boot full of stereo, a couple of 15s in the boot, and yeah, proper chavved. So yeah, good times. And so that's original Xbox. I could sit here all day picking out one game at a time, but you know, the best bet is have a look through. I've done a collection video of what I had up until a couple of months ago, each and every title, if you like. But I can't recommend it highly enough. I mean, I know a lot of people are starting to get into Xbox original collecting, even if it's just the only on Xbox titles. Looking at you, Geordie Slasher. But honestly, there's still so many gems that you can get on the system for next to nothing in terms of cost, and they, hands down, they are better than the PlayStation 2 equivalents. And one thing I liked about the original Xbox is there was enough memory on there. There was a hard drive in it, which was something I just blew my mind. You could put, I think it was about 99 or 100 songs on it, so you could use it as a music player as well as a game system, which was something a bit foreign to me. Later on down the line, obviously they come out with the S-shaped pad, which again is one of my most favourite pads ever. I must admit I did like the idea of that. Although that Duke, I mean, you knew you were playing with power with the Duke controller, but yeah, so I ended up with two OGs, one in the front room, one in the bedroom, and never looked back since. Love me Xbox. I've got around 600 plus odd games now, and as I say, 70, 80 or so were ones that I had originally from new, or from what I bought at Blockbusters or Choices or Game Station or Game, and yeah, one of my favourite consoles ever. And the fact that I've got a fair selection of stuff that I had from new. Some other titles, Oddworld, Stranger's Wrath, that was really good as well. That was something bizarrely different. We had Toe Jam and Earl on there as well, a proper Toe Jam and Earl game. We had Amped, yeah, so many crackers. Blinks, yeah, I mean, Crimson Skies, a flying game. So many crackers. As I say, I could be here all day. But put in your research and take the plunge before these consoles go too up and too high in price. They're well worth adding. Get them now before you miss it. You'll miss out. Trust me. So anyway, we're cracking on. We're sort of then we're happy as a sandboy in the Xbox, and we're then there's word of this new Xbox coming out, and a PlayStation 3 coming out further down the line, and the new kid on the block will be the Xbox 2. So it had to be done. It had to be an upgrade when that bad boy comes out. So yeah, we got there in the end, but I'll save that for next time. Take it easy, everyone. Thanks for watching. Go and get them green boxes. Take it easy. See you later. Bye bye.